Hello. The mission story of October 12, 2024 is coming from Arizona, United States of America. The title is, Time to Quit.
My name is Pedro. It was one of those days, heavy, overwhelming, and testing. I had just finished some tough conversations with staff members, and as I sat reflecting on all the struggles that had built up over the past year, the thought crossed my mind, maybe it's time to walk away. I turned to my wife, the weight of the decision tugging at me. I think this is it, I said, the words coming out almost reluctantly. I think it's time for me to find another job. It was my 12th year as principal of Holbrook Seventh-day Adventist Indian School in Arizona. The challenges had piled up, and it was hard not to feel defeated. But I wasn't the type to make a decision like this lightly. I remembered the promise I'd made to God on my very first day in this role. I had prayed, God, you have a big job to do to help me with this. I'm going to stay here until you say otherwise. Now, when I felt on the verge of giving up, I knew I had to have another conversation with God. I remember my promise, I said quietly, my heart heavy. I don't want to go back on my word. So, is it you telling me it's time to go? There was no immediate answer, but I knew better than to rush things. I often told my staff and students to wait on God, so I followed my own advice. I waited. A week passed, and still, nothing. Then, out of nowhere, a small piece of news reached me. Rain, a girl who had been in first grade at Holbrook 2 years ago, wanted to return to the school. I remembered her well. She was smart and precious, the kind of student that sticks with you. But like many Native American families, her mother had pulled her out of school for 2 years because of the pandemic. I missed her when she left, but I didn't want to get my hopes up. Twice before, I had heard she might return, and each time, it didn't happen. But then I heard Rain's mother wanted to schedule an interview. I had a policy of meeting with all returning students who had been away for a long time, so naturally, I agreed. I could feel a flicker of excitement rising, but I kept my guard up. I didn't want to be disappointed again. When Rain's mother set the interview for 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, that flicker of excitement became a spark. This time, it felt like it was really happening. On Friday, I found myself glancing out the window, waiting. When a car finally pulled into the parking lot, I couldn't help myself. I crouched down, pressing my face against the glass of the front doors, trying to catch a glimpse of Rain and her mother. And there she was. As soon as Rain spotted me, she ran toward the door, her excitement contagious. I opened the door, and without hesitation, she threw herself into my arms. It was pure, unfiltered love. In that moment, I knew. This was the answer I'd been waiting for. God wasn't done with me at Holbrook. It wasn't time to quit. I missed you, I said, my heart full. I missed you too. Rain's eyes sparkled as she spoke. It's so good to see you, I replied, and we stood there for a moment, the weight I had been carrying suddenly feeling a lot lighter. After the interview, Rain asked if she could play on the playground. She had missed the swings, the slide, and all the things that had made her time at Holbrook special. I smiled and told her she could, but I asked her to come back and say goodbye before she left. True to her word, a little while later, she returned to my office. We're going to leave now, she said. I can't wait to see you on registration day, I told her. It was set for the 13th, and I was already looking forward to it. Can't you make it sooner? She asked, her innocent hope catching me off guard. What? You want to come back sooner? I laughed. Yeah, she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I wish I could do that, I chuckled. Rain tilted her head, giving me a serious look. Aren't you the principal? You can do anything. I couldn't help but laugh at her confidence in me, but her words resonated deeply. She was right, I could do anything, but only because of God. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4 verse 13. As Rain and her mother walked away that day, I knew without a doubt that God had spoken, not through a dramatic revelation, but through the simple joy of a little girl returning to the place where she belonged. I wasn't ready to leave. I wasn't done yet. With God by my side, I knew I would stay at Holbrook for as long as He wanted me to.